Hello everyone, CS here, and I'm going to be casting one of the games from the recent Kotu.org $1,000 1v1 tournament, sponsored by Dr. Walks. I would try and say the full name of that law firm, but I would probably mess it up horribly, but I think you guys know enough about them. So, Relic released a patch, unfortunately, yesterday, which was, the day of the finals, which means all of the replays of the tournament, and there were so many great games, are potentially messed up. There is a minor fix that Inverse helped me with doing some messing with the game files. The good news is we can watch this replay of Barton, who will be playing the Soviets, and Korean Army, who will be playing the Austere. Nice old school matchup here. So the good news is we do get to watch this replay. The bad news is there's the sync error detected big message thing in the middle of the screen. And as a result of that, I'm just going to be casting this game and uploading it. And I'm going to wait for your guys' feedback as to whether or not it's too annoying, too distracting, or if I should go ahead and analyze some of the other games from the tournament. There are plenty of great games, like I was saying. I'd be happy to analyze them, but I don't want to spend a ton of time and effort doing it if people are just going to get too distracted by this annoying little message here. And I'm hoping that this replay does in fact work. As always, this is the first time I'm watching this replay, so let's hope it doesn't break about halfway through. Anyways, I did want to give a shout out to Kotu.org user Sandreas, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name, but he came up with a clever, witty, slightly cheesy, but awesome name for these shoutcasts. He said I should call them Company of Heroes 2 Analyses, kind of like a play on analysis, which is what I'm focusing on, as well as getting to throw my name in there. I thought it was clever, I thought it was cool, I'm definitely going to use it. So this will be the first official Company of Heroes 2 Analyses. And it's pretty honored to be able to do this game. I've heard it was epic. Let's hope it turns out to be as epic as Ami and some other people said it was. So without further ado, without all this introduction stuff, now that we're into the fighting, let's go ahead and start talking about the game. Barton is opening up with 3 combat engineers and 2 conscripts. I believe he's been doing this quite frequently in the tournament. I think it's very strong against the Oberkommando, as flamethrowers are great against folks, and if you can get them into range of things like Fallschirmjägers and Obersoldaten, without taking too much damage, they're also very great against those units. Flamethrowers in general are a lot better this patch with the way infantry clump up and the way that flamethrower AoE damage works. And by clump up, I mean clump up in the cover, that new cover-seeking behavior that Relic implemented. Korean Army going with some good old Grenz machine guns, only 1 Pioneer squad, 4 unit tier 1. I guess we'll find out whether his next step is going to be teching to tier 2 or calling in a 5th tier 1 unit. Barton already picking counterattack tactics, giving him access to that huge B4 203mm howitzer, which can be a huge pain if the enemy player does not have a way to counter it. And I wonder if Barton, I guess he knows Korean Army does have close air support, so if Korean Army suspects that Barton's going to pick the B4, he will have a very solid counter to it. I don't know whether Barton will even build it in a 1v1, although on a map like this, I'm pretty sure you can build it in your base and hit their base from your base, from the safety of your base. Things can get pretty messy, when your base is constantly under fire from something like that. So Korean Army does opt for his 5th tier 1 unit. I think that's quite solid against Soviets. Against USF, I feel like you have to tech to tier 2 a bit quicker to get out a 222 or a 251, and especially get out a pack. If you see that lieutenant tech, they're almost certainly going to follow it up with some kind of quick light vehicle. Wow, this Gren squad getting really low on that house. I think Korean Army wanted to try and save, keep the squad in that house until he could get another squad in there to take its place. I call that giving him the old OMG pop, because I think OMG pop, does the in and out of houses better than anyone I've seen, although I'm pretty sure it is quite an old school Company of Heroes tactic. Houses are great to keep occupied. They give great vision, provide great cover. You know, the important thing is they give vision in that huge 360-degree radius around the house, whereas normally in Company of Heroes 2, if your squad was standing behind the house, because of True Sight, you wouldn't be able to see anything in this area. So being able to see, you know, everything on the opposite side can be very important for knowing when, you know, when and where your enemy is moving up on you. I see Korean Army going ahead and opting for a quite early bunker. I guess he'll probably grab the, you know, the medic bunker very, very soon. Barton already having medics of his own. I personally like getting medics early. I think the earlier you get them, the more manpower you save in the long run. And the other important thing is, like for this squad, for example, as soon as this squad gets into some fighting, they're going to have to retreat very quickly. All of the I mean, they have all 4 models, but their health is very low, meaning they will die very, very quickly. Being able to stay in combat for as long as possible can be important and vital, especially for keeping map control. The more time you spend retreating, the less time you spend on the field camping and fighting. Time, just like manpower, munitions, and fuel, is a resource in this RTS, just as it is in any RTS. Yeah, see this squad, you know, already having to soft retreat away from those engineers. Don't want to mess with that double flamethrowers. And now Barton actually having all 3 of his combat engineers already upgraded with flamethrowers, and Korean Army, I think he thought that his squad was going to be camping, but the squad AI got it into cover instead of camping. That can be somewhat of an annoying issue to have. And Korean Army opting for another Pioneer squad. He probably didn't want to retreat those Pioneers, seeing as how they were all the way across the field capping up Barton's fuel. I think maybe, you know, he could have canceled that Pioneer squad unless he does in fact want those double Pios for some reason. We do see Korean Army has teched up those medics. I don't know if you call it teched up to medics. Invested in might be a better way. He's invested in those early medics, and I probably, you know, he's going to be getting some LMGs next. This is a great map for LMGs. There's a lot of you know, long distance combat. There's not that many green cover flanking routes. You know, you have this, it's not even a green cover flanking route, but it's still a line of sight flanking route. But either way, the open aspect of this map, you know, makes those Grenadiers LMGs extremely powerful, extremely potent, and they're a very good investment. And I wonder, surprised actually a little bit that Korean Army has not, oh, he's just now teching. See, I thought for some reason he had already teched to Battle Phase 1. I was expecting some, you know, for him to put up Tier 2, but I guess that will be his next investment. He is starting to float a little bit of manpower in anticipation of that. This is a really, really nice teller mine placement, anticipating, you know, that a vehicle could be coming from Barton, certainly will be coming from Barton. I think the more important, you know, reason that this is a very good mine, not only does Barton have no line of sight here, and the fact that it's on a road, meaning vehicles like to pass through that area, but Korean Army knows that Barton does not have any minesweepers. He's seen all 3 combat engineers upgraded with flamethrowers, meaning if Barton is to ever sweep that teller mine, he would have to invest in yet a 4th combat engineer squad, which might just be a little bit too much. Barton opting for some shock troops while Korean Army picked up a mortar, so he's gone with a total of 6 Tier 1 units. That's a very, very big Tier 1 army. He might actually skip Tier 2 and maybe back tech to it, you know, with that much of an investment in his Tier 1. Nice flank from Barton. You know, has the flamers shooting this house. He has his shock troops coming in, using that line of sight from these houses and getting close on these Gren to do a lot of damage. While that mortar, I thought the mortar hit those, the flamethrower engineers, but I think it was just these Grens. While this house getting down to really low health, shock troops coming in to flank the MG. Is he going to get to... No! He may have been able to get one burst off to suppress those shock troops, but I don't think he wanted to risk it. Surprisingly, the shocks are retreating. I mean, they're still pretty healthy, and there wasn't really anything dangerous in the area. Maybe Barton just wants to preserve his manpower. You know, if his squad's at half health, meaning if each model is roughly at half HP, so if he goes back and heals them up, he saves himself a lot of reinforcing manpower. And they did what they needed to do. They pushed the MG off. They pushed a couple of Grens off, buying Barton a lot more time holding these valuable fuel points. KoreanArmy has much lower fuel income than Barton. You know, Barton having 36 a minute, already up to 300 fuel. Even if he teched, you know, tier 1 / tier 2 and a tier 3, he would have enough fuel for a tank by the time his tech structures were built. Although he could opt just to spam the crap out of KV1s, I assume we'll at least see a tier 2 tech out of Barton. And I know Barton surprisingly actually likes tier 4. I say surprisingly because I do not hold tier 4 in very high regard currently. I think the Katusha is good against the OKW. I think the SU-85 is pretty much the worst tank in the game. The SU-76 being not much better, if at all better, than the SU-85. But that's just my personal opinion. I guess I've seen some games where Barton can make the SU-85 work a little bit. I guess we'll find out. Maybe this will be one of those games. Maybe Barton can change my mind. Wow, those Grens getting dangerously close to that mine. And unfortunately, KoreanArmy does not have his sweeper squad in the area. And with the way these squads are... Oh, he runs right into that mine on retreat. Oh, that is brutal. Brutal losing, you know, there were still 3 models in there, but brutal losing a squad like that. These shocks just, you know, slaughtering Grens. I guess not even slaughtering Grens, I only have 2 kills, but the Grens are extremely scared of being slaughtered by the shock troops. And yeah, now KoreanArmy is going to move up his sweepers. He knows Barton's been mining up. Barton has 3 squads of combat engineers. That's a lot of mining potential. That's one of the major benefits of investing so heavily into those combat engineers is, well, this is a good benefit too. They can actually, if you have them like gang building, you know, a structure, kind of like, okay, I guess you just got that mine. Gang building a structure, Age of Empires 2 style. For anyone that paid Age of Empires 2, you know, you could have like 500 villagers building one building. This building does get constructed actually 3 times as fast since there are 3 combat engineers working instead of 1. Very handy with Soviet tech that takes a long time to construct. You know, their tier 3, tier 4 takes a very long time to construct. So he does opt to tech that tier 3, and he still has 200 fuel left. KoreanArmy doing a good job of cutting Barton off, though. He cut him off here. Barton does not get that fuel income. He decapped this fuel, so Barton will not be getting that fuel income. KoreanArmy evens up the fuel incomes for now. Hopefully he'll be able to leverage this 2-2 into reclaiming his side of the map. You can see KoreanArmy finally decides on his doctrine. He goes with mechanized assault doctrine. That will give him access to primarily the Shtoki and the Tiger tank. Light artillery barrage is another very good off map. Most people do not use the mechanized assault group. I personally think it's a little bit overpriced. You know, 30 fuel and 490 manpower. You do get P-Grens, but I just think that 30 fuel investment for a half-track that cannot reinforced and doesn't even have the option of getting a machine gun mounted at all is a little bit too much. I really wish, you know, even if it's a Muni-based upgrade, I think it would help, you know, that call-in, maybe reduce the manpower by like 40 or 50 as well. I think it would really help that call-in be a lot more useful. Assault Grenadiers, you can kind of do some things with them on some maps, but this wide open map not being a good assault gun map. But this is still a good doctrine. The Shtogi is great against infantry. Relic gave it a lot of love. I guess it was a few patches ago now. It used to be a pretty terrible tank, but it's quite good now. It's basically the Austria equivalent to the T-70 in almost every way. It's not quite as mobile as the T-70, but it can kill infantry about as well, if not a little bit better. And Barton getting close to this B4. You know, he's going to unlock it in half a CP. I would really like to see a B4. All conscripts hoorahing at the Shtug, not backing up. He's going to take AT grenade to the face. Luckily for KoreanArmy, he doesn't, I mean, unless the T-70 gets the flank, which I don't think it will with this Gren squad here, you know, that Shtug's not in danger of dying. It's curious as to why Barton's actually using so many munitions to AT grenade this. You know, I would think one AT grenade would be fine. Yeah, I really don't see any way that this T-70 is going to get in on that and kill it. That's one little tip You know, I see a lot of people, they'll either Faust or AT grenade things, just constantly for no apparent reason at all. The T-70 is moving in. I don't think it's going to get there, especially not with this pack. And yeah, it's already down to half health. It gives a nice ribbon of vet to that Stuggy. So I was going to say, oh, that house goes down. Beautiful house collapse. Shock's moving in on here. They're not going to be able to do much. The two vehicles are here. Anyways, regarding AT grenades and Panzerfausts, you don't always want to willy-nilly use those. The munitions cost can add up, you know, if you start using 3 or 4 at a time. Oh, what a snipe on Treat. That's a beautiful shot from Stuggy. I keep interrupting myself here. Alright, I'm just going to explain it, guys. No more interrupting myself. You can enjoy the action while I explain this. So the 2 times that you want to Faust/AT nade snare a vehicle are: A, you have some other ATs or in the area that could potentially get a kill. That's a good use of Faust. Or B, you are scared of that vehicle chasing your squad and wiping your squad down. Preferably you retreat before that happens, but you can't always know when and where their vehicles will be. So if a Flamer M3 comes out of the fog at your lone Grenadier squad, you probably want to Faust it so that it cannot chase you all the way home. You know, if you know the Flamer M3 is coming and you have a lone Gren squad, you can always retreat your Gren squad preemptively so that they are a lot more likely to make it home. But I see a lot of people, like I said, just willy-nilly throwing out AT grenades and Panzerfausts when there's no chance of actually getting a kill. And I think, in my opinion, that's a waste of munitions, unless you just have so many munitions banked that it actually doesn't matter. Barton did have a lot of munitions. Barton could have been going for the kill. You know, one more AT grenade could have finished off that Stug. He might have been trying to get the flank with the T-70. But just a little something that I thought I would point out. So Barton has opted to go with a KV-1 instead of calling in any T-34s or bringing in any more Tier 3 tech. I thought we might have seen him opt for the M5 so he could put 2 of his Flamer engineers in there. That's seemingly one of Barton's favorite things to do. You know, get that double engineer. It's kind of like, you know, the poor man's. Oh, what a lucky Stuggy shot, detonating that demo charge. I don't think KoreanArmy had any idea the demo charge was there. Yeah, it's kind of like the poor man's. That Gren squad barely living. The poor man's KV-8. It can be very powerful, especially with the speed and the maneuverability that the M5 has with the power of those 2 flamethrowers inside it. Plus, you still get to reinforce in a forward location, and if you ever get engine damage, your engineers can just hop out and repair it. While the Stuggy pushing up into the gun of that KV-1, not where it wants to be, quickly reversing these shocks, trying to push up into this fortified position of KoreanArmy. The MG quickly tells them to go away, and this is a great little thing KoreanArmy is doing. One thing that I recommend with machine guns is, as soon as your opponent, you know, finds your machine gun, as soon as he knows where it is, you want to replace it, reface it, move it a little bit, so that way he can't just come in on the flank, you know, having known where it is, having scouted it. And this is a really a nice fortified position. I would almost like to see KoreanArmy grab a 251 half-track so that he could reinforce on the front lines, as well as help lay in some fire on any approaching squads. The main gun on the 251 can actually kill some stuff now, which is a nice little upgrade, a nice benefit of getting it. Recently I've been believing more and more that that 251 is a very vital and important part of austere play, kind of the prop, the crutch that holds up the austere mid-game, which can be quite weak. You know, you have what I would say is subpar Tier 3 tech when compared to Soviet heavies and call-ins that, you know, the Soviets so frequently rely on. You know, Panzer IVs just aren't good against IS-2s, and they're not great against T-34-85s. They can hold their own against T-34-76s, you know, more often than not winning that fight. However, Soviet generally does not, you know, play very T-34-76 heavy. And also, if you do the math, if you calculate the manpower investment, this is perfect use of the smoke coming in on that MG, throwing a nade. Fortunately, that squad spread out and isn't going to take too much manpower loss. This is also a nice benefit of having these 3 combat engineer squads. You can repair very, very quickly. What I was saying is, when you do the math, when you look at how much it costs to actually tech and get a Panzer IV, You can invest way less manpower simply waiting for the Tiger, and the Tiger does not cost much more fuel. I do the math operating under the assumption that you do in fact tech tier 2, because I think that you cannot skip austere tech 2 in any sort of a real game. Nice wipe on that Pioneer squad that gets rid of Korean armies. Minesweeper, he does have enough munitions, however, if he wants to upgrade another Minesweeper squad. But yeah, right, like I was saying, I think you need austere tier 2, so when you do the total amount of resources invested in tier 1 / battle phase 1 / tier 2 plus the Tiger, it is not that much more expensive than just getting a P4, and obviously the Tiger is much more powerful than a P4. This is really good machine gun placement from KoreanArmy, covering a huge wide arc, all of the ways that Barton would want to approach this machine gun. Oh, nice rifle grenade there too. Really going to do a lot of damage to that shock squad. And this T-70 is taking quite a beating from this pack. From the Stug, it's kind of cornered. I really don't know where it's going to go. If it goes north, Grents can get off. If it goes south, these Grents can cut it off, lay in a Faust. He's really hunting this T-70. Barton knows that he's being closed in on. He retreats his combat engineers to prevent any losses. And while KoreanArmy actually isn't moving these Grents south very quickly, this T-70 is probably going to get out of there. It depends on how far the Stug's willing to chase it. I think I just heard. I thought it was an M5. I guess it wasn't. I guess it was just the sound of the plane, and he does kill that 222, I believe, with the KV-1. T-70 is going to make it out at a little bit lower than half health, and Barton adds another KV-1 to his army, so I find it a little bit interesting that he invested so much fuel into that tier 3 just for the T-70. That is, 120 extra fuel on top of what you pay for the T-70 just for the T-70 for that price. Sorry, 120 fuel on top of the T-70. For that price, he could have had a third KV-1 right now. The T-70 has gotten 6 skills. Maybe he just wanted it for the shock value. It is always good to use, though, for scouting with that recon mode that it has. It can see a lot of area. It should be very, very important for spotting for your own AT guns, spotting for your heavier tanks, that might not be as mobile. You don't want to just run them into AT gunfire. But KoreanArmy really solidifying his half of the map. I think it looks like he's pretty content, just camping, waiting for his Tiger. He's close to there on fuel. He's also banking the manpower. He has unlocked it. I mean, he has 5 Gren squad. That's a very good backbone for the 5.5 LMGs. I wonder if he just doesn't realize that this squad doesn't have an LMG yet. But Barton coming in, a very nice flank, popping that from Mother Russia, giving all of his squads a damage bonus. They gain 50% more damage. They sprint forward. I believe they get 50% more armor as well. They have 1.5 times the armor. Decrews this pack. If he can pick up this pack, that'd be a huge win for him. All of his army rushing forward. He can probably decrew this pack as well. This is an absolutely huge push. Perfectly timed use of 4 Mother Russia. This KV-1 does hit that Teller mine. Just normal engine damage, a little bit unfortunate. It looks like KoreanArmy did call in the light artillery barrage. It doesn't really kill that much with it. This Gren squad getting dangerously low. That T-70 and the KV-1 are in range of it. Barton surprisingly did not pick up either of the AT guns. Throws in a shotgun. It's going to be nicely avoided though. And Barton calling in a recon. I wonder why he called in a recon. I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, KoreanArmy is going to be able to recrew his pack. Getting it in range, getting it in position to fire on this KV-1. The first shot misses and it dies. Is another pack coming in to try and save the day. His Stuggy moving back in, Barton opting just to kill these AT guns. That is always a good idea. If you can't recrew your AT gun, you want to do whatever you can to, or recrew your enemy's AT gun, you want to do whatever you can to deny it to your enemy. I do believe he'll get to destroy it. One more shot should get it. Well, this pack is starting to do a lot of damage to that KV-1. Oh, that shot misses. Another huge round going in. And meanwhile, this Stug E is chasing off the T-70. But with the way reinforcing works in Code 2, for those that do not know, the general rule of thumb is that you take the amount of manpower that a squad costs Divide it by the number of soldiers in that squad. Oh, wow. Oh, was that another teller that got planted there somehow? That's really unfortunate that KB1 did not die. Got a main gun and heavy engine damage. The main gun being that E-Sport crit, that death crit. Instead of dying, it gets that main gun destroyed. That's very, very unfortunate for Korean Army. That should be a dead KB1. Anyways, as I was saying, manpower cost of the squad divided by the members in that squad divided by 2. What that means basically is that it costs you twice as much to produce a new squad as it does to reinforce. This squad being recruited by the Grens, it does cost the Grenadier reinforcement cost. So when you recruit a support weapon with a squad, you reinforce it with those models. Weapons and armor included, but also reinforcement cost included. What that means, you generally want to recruit support weapons, if possible, with your cheapest squad, i.e. Pioneers, Combat Engineers, Conscripts are fine, Rear Echelon Troops, and Volk Grenadiers being the optimal choices. However, it's always better to recruit it with whatever you can, rather than giving your opponent the option of getting it. You know, you never want to just hand them their AT, especially when you have to deal with 6-man Soviet pack crews. They are brutal, they are disgustingly strong, and it is very fortunate that Korean Army was able to pick up his packs. He might have gone a little bit overboard, he might have panicked there, you know, he was banking manpower for the Tiger, and you know, I think that he thought that Barton was going to get his AT guns. He knew he needed AT right away, so he did call in 2 more packs. Now he has 4 packs, that's a lot of AT firepower. You know, unfortunately with the pop cap, he's not able to get a Tiger now, even if he does get to the manpower. So one thing he could potentially do, he has flamethrowers right here. He could back up 2 of the packs into his base, you know, into a protected, safe area, and he could flame down his own guys. It's not what you want to be doing. However, it would give him access to calling in a Tiger. He probably doesn't want to do that quite yet, because even losing 2 packs I don't think would free up enough pop cap. You know, I think you'd probably have to lose this Stuggy, maybe even, I think the Stuggy plus the 2 packs, you know, if he kills the one with the Gren models, that would and should free up enough population to call in a Tiger. I'm going to have to pause for 1 second, guys, I'm sorry. My cat decided that it would be a good idea to jump in front of the screen while I'm trying to cast. I'm also going to take a quick pause while there's quiet here on Longer Sky to drink some water. I've been talking for 27, almost 28 minutes straight, and my throat is getting very dry. I will be right back. Alright, that is so much better. We can see Barton has chosen not to invest in a B4. A little bit interesting to me. I believe at this point he should know that Korean Army would not have a good counter, as he knows what doctrine Korean Army picked, because the Stuggy comes in this doctrine and this doctrine only. He would not have recon plus an off-map to kill it. Here's this M5 half-chuck I was talking about. Awesome flank coming in here on Barton. Gonna decrew that AT gun for sure. And Korean Army needs to not overreact to this. He needs to not, you know, face all of his AT guns in the direction of this M5, as that would open him up to a push from the mid, which is Barton is doing now. With that poor Mother Rush ability popped, his conscript sprinting in there to do double the damage. They do get suppressed though. Coming in from this side on this pack are his T-70 and the Shocks and some more conscripts. That pack goes down extraordinarily fast. Oh boy, this Stuggy is being hit in the face by that KB1. It does take engine damage from a Faust. Barton, just beautiful flank coming here. I mean, his troops got in on this mission to Korean Army from all sides, and this, oh, the Flame Ram 5 does go down. That was a nice long-range snipe by that Stuggy. All of Korean Army's AT guns, except for this one, are taken out. All of Barton's tanks, oh, he managed to take that one down. I was going to say Barton's tanks are getting low, taking a lot of damage. That pack ends up dying. This T-70, though, eating a Faust in the back. The Stuggy is probably going to be able to chase it. Korean Army calling in a Tiger. This is a great time to call in the Tiger. That T-70 goes down. The Tiger's going to be chasing this engine-damaged KV-1. I mean, that was a beautiful push by Barton, but I think Korean Army responded in a really great way. Barton did not even pick up that AT gun. Barton actually has no AT on the field right now. I mean, he has, you know, KV-1s, but KV-1s against Tigers are not where you want to be. The KV-1's going to struggle to penetrate even the rear armor of the Tiger. You know, it has the same gun as the T-3476, and I think anybody that plays this game frequently knows that the T-3476 does not fare well against the Tiger. The advantage being the KV-1 is more heavily armored and has more health, but has less mobility, so it won't even really be able to outrun the Tiger very well. And I mean, yeah, I think I've explained enough about how bad of a situation Barton is actually in right now, and his army can't even fight because of that debuff. I forget exactly what the debuff is. It's something to do with, like, you take your incoming accuracy is like halved, or whatever way it works, stuff has like double the chance of hitting you. So basically, in effect, for all intents and purposes, you take double damage. It's not exactly double damage, but it works out to be roughly double damage against small arms fire. It's not double damage against tank projectiles, but it would be kind of double chance to get hit. It gets a bit convoluted. It could actually, you know, the way the small arms and, oh, that was a nice rifle nade. The way the combat mechanics in this game could be subject of its own vehicle, really. There's Vet 3 shocks having to retreat. The Tiger maybe could have been a bit more of a bully to them, but I think it doesn't want to risk anything. The Korean Army having almost enough fuel for another Tiger. Korean Army able to recruit that AT gun, although I don't know how long it's going to live. This KV-1 has it in its sights. Fortunately, he misses a bunch of shots, but the MG is able to take out that PAC-40. Barton did end up stealing a PAC-40 and is just doing a ton of damage to this Tiger. All of these Grens really need to get out of there. Tiger really needs to reverse too. I mean, the PAC-40 is just such a good weapon against the Tiger. And Korean Army actually has Barton triple capped, who's down to already 108, 105 EPs. He should be able to get this one back. I don't think that Gren Squad is going to be able to kill those cons quickly enough. Although the Tiger, while this Tiger being very ballsy, I think Korean Army can just feel, you know, the rope, Barton's time left in this game is dwindling, pushing both of his tanks up, and he's not retreating that Gren Squad. He should really get it out of there. Such a low health Vet 3 Gren Squad. This is so ballsy too. If he takes an 18 aid, which he's going to, oh, and it does get the engine damage. You know, you do not want to risk something like that. You know your opponent has a PAC-40. You know that you have the luxury of time. You know you can get a second Tiger on the field very soon. Just a couple minutes worth of manpower income. The Stuggy might have to sacrifice itself for the good of the fatherland. Oh, he does have a nice artillery barrage here, though. On this pack, it's probably going to decrease the PAC-40. That will absolutely save his tanks. If I were Korean Army, I'd probably have this PAC-40 start shooting that thing. You know, I wish there was a chance of him recrewing it. I would like to think that maybe he could, but I just don't, you know, being this close to Barton's base, I don't think it'd be possible. Barton moving his cons up, he's probably going to try to recruit himself, but this beautiful Vet 3 MG42 with 20 kills. That's one of the highest kill MG42s I've ever seen. While Barton losing the squad that was capping that, but all Barton, you know, being the high-level player he is, being, you know, a master of these high-stress situations, decapping that VP, so the drain for now is stopped, but it will be resumed very, very shortly. Yeah, I'm really, really surprised to see that Korean Army is not killing this PAC-40. Oh, what a brutal shot there. Taking out that Gren Squad, dropping the LMG. I think that was probably a Vet 3 Gren Squad. E-Sport crit going on the Stuggy. Now it's going to die. Barton losing another AT gun somewhere. I assume it's this. That shock guy looks like he had recruited that with the shocks. And if I was Korean Army, I would really pick up this pack as soon as possible. Alright, so let's take a minute to evaluate the situation of this game. Korean Army having a severely damaged Tiger, slowly reversing to his base, needs to get some repairs, needs to get back in the action. He has enough fuel for another Tiger, and so I'm a little bit curious as to why he's investing in, you know, a Vet 0 Gren squad. He already has 3 Vet 3 Gren squads. His infantry force is already stronger than Barton's. And to me personally, I think another Tiger might be a better investment. The way I would play this is I would, at this point, just focus on 2 VPs. You know, you don't have to hold 2 VPs for very long to drain Barton out. Have a Tiger watching this VP, have a Tiger watching this VP, put a pack back here, put a pack back here, probably stick your MG in mid, maybe even bunker up if you get the opportunity, put a bunker back here, covering that VP. Really unfortunate flame crit there. This Tiger limping up to try to get these cons out of the VP. Oh no, another LMG being dropped. This Gren squad might die too. This is why I think that I would play it so much more conservatively. You know, you don't want to have to push your infantry out so far unsupported with there being tanks on the field. It can be very easy for them to get chased down. Barton popping that for Mother Russia again, making absolutely beautiful use of that ability. This console, I think, has double LMGs now. A double LMG. Yep, look at that. We've got this guy and that guy rocking the LMGs. Vet 3. That is going to be an absolutely brutal squad to deal with. I really think that Korean Army... oh man, he lost all of his AT guns too. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Barton has the one. He has, you know, 2 more in his territory that he will be able to recrew once he gets the manpower. Right now he's a bit manpower starved, but it will be possible. Although 18 VPs, boys, 18 VPs. These guns are not going to be happy going into that house, seeing those conscripts and those shock troops right there. Grenade going in. That is not the side of the house you want to get out on, right in front of those shock troops, taking massive damage. He really needs to get out of there, really needs to get home, really needs to retreat. He has to save those Vet 3 Grens. I think Korean Army really needs another Pioneer squad as well at this point. You need to be able to repair your tanks as quick as possible. Another awesome use of that for Mother Russia ability, pushing these shocks in, doing double damage on that. These tanks able to get this MG out of mid, down to 8 VPs! 8 VPs! 7 VPs! Barton is, however, whiting both victory points. Let's see if he can raise the flag. He's at 6. The drain is stopped. Light artillery barrage going in. Barton retreating out of it. The drain is stopped, so that's fine. That squad almost actually dies moving through the light artillery barrage. 6 VPs. This is nerves of steel. Barton, you know, maybe, you know, I would have been nervous, man. I probably would have moved my squad over here and hoped that it just didn't die. But Barton, knowing, you know, the awareness he has control of 2 VPs and the other one whited, that means Korean Army would have to take control of 2 to put the drain back on Barton. I think if you're Korean Army, you have plenty of time. I actually do not like this AT gun purchase that much. I think you make use of the luxury of the time that you have, you make use of your immense fuel bank, and you still have good map control for the most part. I think you wait it out, you know, you try and defend this VP with your Tiger so that you only drain 1 point per tick. You get your second Tiger, and you go all in on this mid VP. That's the way I would play it. Although he is making a pretty nice push with this Tiger and the pack. That KV-1 is probably going to die. It's not reversing. I would Faust this one. Okay, that one goes out of control. Nice shot. Yes, yeah, you know, I think that KV-1 was dead either way. I would have laid in the Faust on that KV-1, hoping to get the engine damage, hoping to be able to follow it up with my Vet 2 Tiger and my Pack 40. He does have to be careful though. These AT guns are pushing up. These shock troops, they're not going to be happy that a Tiger has its sight set on them, although he's shooting at the KV-1. First shot misses. Big long-range pack shot goes in on the Tiger. And Korean Army really needs another squad of engineers. Oh, trying to sneak some engineers down here. That's bad though, because now he's not going to be able to repair that Tiger, and these double LMG conscripts holding the fort down over here, making sure nothing... Oh, long-range grenade only kills 1 model though. Saying, you know, those guys are making sure that no sneaky squads can get in the rear of Barton's lines. This This Tiger pushing up really wants to decrease the pack. It is able to kill the Pack 40. The second Pack 40 is pushing up, however. Oh man, this is a ballsy engineer squad. It wants to run and probably wipe that VP. I do think he'll be able to sprint out of there. He's going to get out of there and get alive. KoreanArmy should really send a squad over there. That Tiger gets decrewed though. He puts a crew in it, but I don't think it's going to live. That Pack 40 moves up, does take it out. KoreanArmy is left with no Tiger against 2 KV1s. This, oh man, that Pack 40 is going to be decrewed. Another Pack 40 in Barton's hands. This is what I was talking about, you know, he probably should have killed the Pack. I guess that Pack 40 is still sitting there, so maybe it doesn't matter. Oh, that poor combat engineer was trying to be a hero. You know, I was going to say maybe he should have killed that Pack 40, but it's still sitting there. The problem is, Barton can still recrew it. And he, wow, KoreanArmy really just playing for the quick win. Calling in a Shtug E against Pack 40s and KV1s just to try and hold on here. I think I disagree with that as well. You know, if KoreanArmy ever watches this, I'm not trying to be overly critical of you. You know, you're a great player. You're putting up a hell of a fight against Barton here, doing some amazing plays. You know, Barton has been flanking like a beast, flanking like a madman. You're hanging in there. I just want to try and provide anybody who watches this cast with analysis of what could be done better. How could this game have been won? It's very different when you're in that situation, you know. When you're playing and you're in the tournament and you're against Barton, you know, one of the best KO2 players, and you see that 6 VPs, man. I understand. All you want to do is get those VPs, tick them down. But I think that one thing, you know, players could and should do more is just, you know, you have the luxury of time. Even if you're triple capped at 400 VPs, you have a long time to play with. You can get out a Tiger with that manpower income. You know, I think if he had stayed back with his Tiger, played a little bit more patiently, recrewed the MG, recrewed the mortar, you know, recrewing the mortar will help against the stolen packs that Barton has. You know, get your army back up, get your backbone, you know, reset, especially when you can, you know, hold this VP so easily. It's very hard for Barton to contest this VP being so low. You know, Barton has to commit his whole army to holding the 2 VPs that he has, because if he loses either of them for even like 10 seconds, he's going to lose the game. And so in this situation, you know, I think KoreanArmy needs to consolidate, and I think what he needs to do is push everything except for one probably engineer squad into mid. He needs to make Barton commit as much as he can to mid and try and sneak a squad down here. That, you know, the advantage that KoreanArmy has, the advantage of that time that KoreanArmy has, is that Barton, like I said, cannot afford to lose a VP, meaning his army is going to have to constantly be split and holding both VPs with as much force as possible. If you can project your force at one of the VPs in such a way that Barton has to overcommit there, you know, because he's nervous about losing it, that's going to draw his attention away from the other VP in the south. And while this, you know, see, Barton is scared. Barton knows he's on the ropes. A single Pioneer squad pushing up forces this huge movement from Barton's army. Like I was saying, Barton has nothing protecting that VP. If you had 2 Tigers pushing in the mid here, even if you don't win that engagement, even if the only thing you're doing is stalling for time, you can sneak a squad down there. Barton, he smells blood. Barton is going for the win. He's pushing in with everything. Barton is absolutely all in. He has to know that KoreanArmy doesn't have anything that can steal this VP here. Both of his tanks are engine damaged inside of KoreanArmy's base. This Pack 40 lining up to start laying in rounds against him. KoreanArmy has lost at least 1 squad. Huge push with For the Motherland popped. All this infantry crawling through KoreanArmy's base, and all these tanks just crawling forward at this pack. I think the pack's going to have to start taking shots eventually. You can't retreat forever. 3rd KV1. Barton has completely abandoned both of the VPs. You know, this is what I was talking about. If you had those 2 Tigers, Barton couldn't even be able to do this. And I think KoreanArmy, he probably should, yeah, I think he's doing it. He's just going to rush. He's going to rush at the VPs and try and deep cap them. This is an all-in situation versus an all-in situation. And a Faust going in on here, if these guys could run and decap this, I don't know if they're going to make it. This is such a tense moment, guys. I don't even know what to say. Oh my god. The infantry, they just want to cap. He should send this squad to that VP though. You have so much stuff here. Yes, keep 2 squads here, run 2 squads to the south VP. This one's decapped, but Barton, oh my gosh, he's capping the top with the AT gun. This is desperation, boys. Absolute, down to the wire, balls to the walls, all in, you know, all or nothing play. He gets this VP, that KV1's not that one, it can't contest it. Barton's whole army pushing him for Mother Russia, contesting that one. Taking out that Gren squad. Korean Army, oh man, the counter all in, I don't think is going to be able to make it. This this AT gun is sitting here. Oh, he's holding it down, holding it white, and he's raising the flag on this one. I'm actually running out of breath because I've been talking so fast, but this, I want to point out, is one of the most beautiful parts of KO2 in my opinion. I don't want to hate on KO1. I think they're both great games in their own way, but one of my favorite parts about KO2 is the foot in the circle mechanic, the fact that you can contest somebody capping the point in such a manner, and the fact that you can cap with AT guns, with support weapons. I think it makes support weapons more valuable. This tourney is your BartonPL. Good game, well played, good luck on the next tourney. Great sportsmanship coming out from Korean Army. The ending of that game was absolutely insane. Oh my gosh. That has got to be one of the most epic 1v1 comebacks slash down to the wire games that I've ever seen. Beautifully played by both players. That was a spectacle to watch. Thank you both. If you ever watch this, thank you both so much for this gem of a game. Thank you, Dr. Walks, for sponsoring this tourney, and Omni/ko2.org for hosting the tournament. This is just one of the many beautiful games we got to see this past weekend. Anyways, I don't think that I have too much more analysis. I think I had a good time period in there during this major fight and during some of the more slow-paced slash reorganizing moments of the game to explain how I think it could have and maybe could have been won by Korean Army. Like I said, when you're in these high-pressure situations, it is so hard to just not get tunnel visioned on those 6 VPs. 6 is so few VPs. But Barton truly showing us some nerves of steel, showing us great, just that tournament level, top tier map awareness, VP awareness, just those nerves that Ami talks about, that tournament experience, being in these situations and not letting yourself get frazzled. He saw an opportunity to make an all-in push on Korean Army's base and wipe out everything Korean Army had. He went for it. That was a very good call. Korean Army saw that all-in for what it was and responded accordingly by counter all-inning, and he almost got it. He had all the VPs switched around in terms of possession, but he just couldn't hang on to them for the little bit of time that he needed. A beautiful play from Barton using this stolen Pack 40 to cap that top VP back. That is just next level, top tier awareness, tournament experience that I'm talking about, and that's just that beautiful part of KO2, being able to contest the cap like that. The Pack 40 was sitting there while the VP was whited and the Gren squad was standing in the circle, preventing either player from controlling it. Wow, that was awesome, guys. It's a little bit unfortunate, like I said, that esport crit there. I don't know whether or not it would have changed the outcome of the game. Quick recap of what I said a couple times. When you have a time advantage, I think that players need to try and take advantage of that. Take a step back from just being tunnel visioned on the VPs, and think with clarity for a second. Consciously think, how can I win this game? I have time advantage. I have the call-in advantage. Tigers are extraordinarily strong against KV-1s and against the army that Barton had on the field. Maybe if I get 2 Tigers, I can make a big push. Using that kind of projection of force idea that I was talking about, force Barton to overcommit on the middle of the map. We saw how scared Barton was of losing. As soon as that VP started getting whited, Barton shifted his entire army to contest it because he knew Korean Army had that VP. If that VP turns blue for even like 6 seconds, the game is over in favor of Korean Army. You know, force Barton to overcommit mid, and then send a harassing squad to the south. Barton did do a good job here, you know, keeping this con squad there. However, when Korean Army did make his push into mid, Barton did not have a squad there. And if two Tigers had been pushing into mid, I don't even know that he could have held mid. Maybe he could have, maybe he couldn't have. He would have had to have his whole army in mid to hold it. I don't think he would have been able to commit anything to there. I think if he has to commit even a fraction of his army to that you know, VP on his side, I think he would have lost mid. The other thing, like I've said it a couple times during the cast, if you ever have the chance to recruit enemy support weapon teams, especially AT guns, you want to do it. If you don't need that AT gun or the support weapon, you want to try and kill it, because you just do not want your enemy, especially you do not want Soviets having Pak-40s, but you don't want to build your enemy's AT for them. It's a huge manpower swing when they just get to pick up an AT gun, reinforce it, and turn it around and shoot at you with it. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up this cast. That was awesome. Awesome game. I will be uploading it tonight, and if you guys respond positively and don't care about the sync error detected, I'm happy to do plenty more games from this tournament. Please let me know in the YouTube comments whether or not that's too distracting. I think from a casting point of view, when all that action was going on, I personally didn't even think that it was there. I didn't even realize that it was there, but I want your guys' feedback. You know, I do this. It's fun for me, but I do it because I want to help people get better at Code 2. I want to help people enjoy these top-level games and be able to learn from them. Leave me the YouTube comments. If you enjoyed the cast and haven't followed my YouTube channel, please follow that. Please follow my Twitter and maybe even my stream. All of those things will be in the description of the video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope everyone has a good day. Cheers.